gonna be okay, alright? You're gonna be okay.
January 2025. The most destructive fires Los Angeles has ever known are ripping through the city.
Telco on the Palisades fire.
By the time they're over, at least 30 people have been killed. Thousands more left homeless. Up to $50 billion worth of property destroyed. This looks like a disaster movie, but it's all too real.
I mean, these were huge fires. There are 14 separate fires which attacked different parts of LA.
And this wasn't a one-off. Wildfires are getting fiercer, faster, and bigger. Some have been so big that a new word has been coined to describe them.
Gigafire.
Gigafire. A gigafire.
A fire that burns at least 1 million acres of land. That's bigger than the entire state of Rhode Island.
What we're seeing now is totally unprecedented.
So why are wildfires getting stronger? And how will we cope with these monster infernos of the future? The planet is warming. But it isn't the heat of a hot summer that causes a fire. It's the fuel it creates.
The crucial thing here is the dryness. The lower moisture levels you have in the vegetation, the bigger the chance of the fire in the first place.
In January 2025, that chance is high in Southern California. But a very different kind of weather the year before has also contributed to the elevated fire risk. You might think of rain as a bad thing for fires, but in the right conditions, rain can help set the stage for a fierce blaze.
Places like the desert, Southern California, you need a wet season followed by a dry season to get those fires.
Rain encourages plants to grow, but when the rain stops and a drought starts, those new plants turn into extra fuel. It's called hydroclimate whiplash, and it's getting more common. The phenomenon has increased by between 31 and 66% globally since the middle of the 20th century. As the planet heats up, this is set to continue. But even without extra rain, longer droughts are increasing fire risk across the planet.
Drought periods are a natural phenomenon. The problem is that they have become longer and drier.
And not just in the global north. The total area of land burned might have decreased in Africa, but fires in the continent's tropical forests have doubled in recent decades. They're not the only jungles under threat.
It's a race to safety as wildfires rage across the region and the continent.
The 2024 fire season broke records throughout South America. For the first time, fires were the main cause of tropical forest loss, overtaking land clearances from agriculture. And one can often lead to another.
Forests that are on the edge of these activities become exposed to drier air, to more heat, to more winds, and have a higher risk of fire.
But more dry fuel is only part of the reason wildfires are getting worse. In some parts of the world, they're getting faster too, and for that, they need wind.
The National Weather Service warning conditions to be as bad as it gets, with the potential for hurricane-force winds.
As the LA fires showed, winds can supercharge a fire. Wind patterns aren't changing, but as droughts get longer, the chances they'll coincide with a windy period increases.
We're seeing records of the speed of fire spread. In Bolivia, in Chile, we've seen faster and faster fires spreading several kilometers per day.
Although a global analysis hasn't been done, fires across the US are getting faster.
Usually intense fires are fast fires. And the reason for this is if they're really intense, we cannot put them out. It's like spitting on a campfire.
Wind not only pushes flames along, it can also help them to jump roads or fire breaks by blowing embers over them. Embers can even start new fires several hundred meters away.
Most fires enter communities through that rain of embers and not through the direct fire front.
And the embers are the risk because they're flying. In fact, to our left is a house that is just ignited.
And when fires get big enough, they can produce their own winds, even their own weather. Canada is all too familiar with this phenomenon. It's May 2016, and a wildfire near the town of Fort McMurray in Alberta is growing to monstrous proportions. It's on its way to becoming a gigafire.
Oh, you can feel the heat. Holy shit.
Generating hurricane-force winds and producing lightning, it's starting more fires miles away. A huge pyrocumulonimbus cloud towers over it. The same kind of cloud produced by volcanoes.
It's a fire-generated thunderstorm, and we're starting to see a lot more of them. Because fires are becoming more intense, air rises and eventually cools and condenses and forms clouds. And if it keeps rising, it can generate a thunderstorm, have lightning and hail and rain. The wind field around these fire-generated thunderstorms could be quite intense, just like a regular thunderstorm.
So when fires this big are getting ever more frequent, how will the world cope with these gigafires? The direct impact is huge, but the indirect effects could be even worse.
So there's real concerns in Southern Europe, in places like Greece and Spain and Italy, that these wildfires, which are becoming regular now, are really going to start hitting the tourism industry, which is, a mainstay of the economy for some of these areas.
Wildfires can also exacerbate inequality in another way. LA's 2025 fires were the most expensive in US history, with insurance companies facing losses of up to $30 billion. Much of these costs will be passed on to residents.
One of the knock-ons of these fires is rebuilding. And in some parts of the world, poorer people can't afford to move back. There's this a risk of gentrification in the wake of disasters like this, where only people who can afford to rebuild and then insure themselves will be able to move back.
But fires don't just affect those nearby. More than 1.5 million people die each year because of wildfire pollution. As wildfires get bigger and stronger, expect this to increase. And like most problems caused by climate change, it'll disproportionately affect those in poorer countries.
Many of these deaths come from Southeast Asia, where they have a persistent peat fire problem. Fire people often talk about good fire, because fire is natural in many places, but there's no such thing as good smoke.
The world needs to adapt, and there are solutions.
The best bang for your buck is if we can prevent fires through things like fire bans, forest closures, education. These are all positive things.
Anyone who handles fire in any form is a potential killer.
Local governments have started to rise to the challenge. Brush clearances and prescribed burns deprive fires of fuel. Camera networks analysed by AI are starting to show promise in spotting fires on both sides of the Atlantic. Measures like this are all necessary. But a greater threat are often the fires that don't threaten any homes at all.
The warmer we get, the more fire we're going to see. But the more fire we see, the more greenhouse gases through that combustion, which will feed the warming. In Canada and other places, we've seen our forests as a carbon sink. That means because they're growing, they're taking carbon from the atmosphere and putting it into the wood. What we're seeing now with increased fire is that on an annual basis, many forests are now carbon sources rather than sinks.
In 2023, fires in Canada alone emitted roughly as much carbon as India does in a year. And mostly down to fires, the Amazon rainforest now emits more carbon dioxide than it absorbs. Fires are becoming so big, they're changing the climate. With a blaze too big to put out, the best option is to stop it happening in the first place.
We need to be more active and be ready for them and reduce the risk of those fires becoming mega fires, gigafires even.
Mega fires are here to stay. The risk is gigafires could also become a new normal.
Well, there's a lot of stakes if we don't invest in preparation for fires. The loss of biodiversity, the loss of trees, the loss of the capacity of the Amazon forest of regulating the climate. It's a system collapsing. We need and we can and we have to do things to be ready for fires.